The Drunken Knight, Sonata. Since the email box was bulging, it seemed to her that both Winflam brothers were bombarding her with responses at the same time for separate accounts. She slammed down her laptop in annoyance just before Sonata returned from the coffee shop. I would also like to remind you that this was established as non-canon. But when have we ever let that stop us? Looking up hopefully for what she expected to be a tray of coffee and a bag of pretzels, she saw instead that Sonata was holding a brown paper bag with what sounded like several full bottles. What's that? Sunset frowned. Sonata pulled a bottle out. Maggie's sitting on the corner. Selling apple cider. She gave me some for free. Free? Sunset said. Did you offer to pay her? Yeah. Sonata said awkwardly. She sent it around the house on account of, Arya. Ah. Sunset nodded. That's just like Applejack. I chewed her out once over this stuff before the fall formal. She said, Sonata handed her a bottle. She contemplated the orange liquid in it for a moment, but something seemed off about it. There's no label on here, she observed. Not on this one either, Sonata added, looking at the other bottle. Doesn't look carbonated. Sunset looked closely. Oh well, maybe it's just apple juice or something. Sonata sat down on a sofa, her characteristic posture of her legs folded and leaning on Sunset's shoulder. It is homemade, she said, as soon as I explained everything. How's the paperwork coming? Badly, Sunset sighed. If I could still use magic, I'd use any amount of it to get those brothers so there's a single generous bone somewhere in their bodies. Silly Simmy. Sonata poked her playfully in the shoulder. Bones can't be generous. Expression, Sunset said, giving a tired smile. I knew that. Sonata said unconvincingly. For lack of anything better to do, she unstopped the cork to the bottle as she held, took a large swing. Sunset leapt away from her as she choked on it, spraying a large corn into the orange drink and spilled across the coffee table. What'd you do that for? Sunset cried, bouncing on the sofa arm. Sonata coughed and wheezed, massaging her throat. It's hot? She gasped uncertainly, like it's sharp or something. Frowning, Sunset uncorked her own and took a careful sip. She recoiled slightly. You're right, it is. She rubbed her chin. Maybe the carbonation wasn't brewed in or correctly or something. Carbonation? These are supposed to be frizzy, I think. Maybe they made them wrong, that's why they taste funny. Sonata was constantly trying hers again. It's not so bad when you're expecting it. She took a larger swing. Yeah, I do like this. Sunset watched her guzzle about half the bottle. She wasn't so sure, but she took a large gulp, as though hoping doing so might make the impact less. She was wrong. The burning sensation intensified in her mouth as her throat she tried to swallow. Gasping for air, she hiccuped, feeling a hot bubble shoot up from her. Sonata gave a snort of laughter and Sunset covered her mouth, her face burning with embarrassment. Shut up, she complained. Why do I sound so whiny? Sonata laughed so hard and pointed at her. You're so red. It's just so cute. She pinned Sunset's cheek. Whoa, Sunset said, suddenly holding up her hand for Sonata to stop. What's going on here? Now, it might be considerate of us to think that we'd be understanding of our heroine's ignorance on the subject of alcohol. Equestria was not a major producer and buyer of alcohol on the whole. Alcohol had been introduced by the Griffin Kingdom centuries ago in the form of cooking component, used widely in meals and more especially famed Griffin desserts. Sunset Simmer had no concept of what alcohol was, or what it did upon entering the human world. While she knew of it since she came from school, what it meant that while she did know a great deal about it, she never actually been introduced to it, nor shaken its hand, so she did not recognize it when she saw it. Sonata's excuse was probably more lamentable. The simple truth was neither that Adagio or Arya found it at least advisable to introduce it to Sonata. Adagio considered above herself consumption, and Arya saw it mostly means of manipulating others. Both have witnessed and understood its effects, so made a personal pact never to let Sonata within 5 rooms of it. I was always wondering that, Sonata said, absentmindedly finishing off her bottle and settling it down a little secretly. Have you seen those things over there? Without really meaning to, Sunset took another large swig of her own bottle. What things? She asked, forgetting her previous thought. She stood up, but found it a little hard. Those things over there, Sonata said seriously. Only just noticed them today. They're all over the wall. Sunset moved to stand beside her, annoyed by how the easel and coffee table seemed to lean in to cut her off. She looked at the wall curiously for a moment. What? she asked, draining the last of her own bottle. The taste wasn't pleasant exactly, but it grew on you. Things, Sonata said, tugging on a painted canvas square. Fell off the wall as the pin suspending it pinged away. Sonata sniggered as though she found this very funny. Sunset giggled too. It was funny, she realized. She reached up and tugged one too. Both of them erupted in barely stifled chuckles as the pin spun across the room. No, wait, Sunset said conspiratorially. Whoever put them there will be mad if we keep doing that. Oh, Sonata whispered back, the word unnecessarily long. Right, so, was there any more of that drink? I'm thirsty again. Sunset checked the bag. One. She pouted. Well, that wasn't very nice of her. Why give us her... 3? Sonata suggested. Yeah, 3. I got it, Sonata said, as though a wonderful idea were occurring to her. We can share, she said in hushed, impressive tones. Oh, yeah. Sunset frowned. Her eyes a little watery. Why didn't I think of that? Once the third bottle had been drained, both of them found it agreeable for some reason to look up some internet videos that, for equally unknown reason, they suddenly remembered were hilarious. Slurring heavily over an explanation of why monkeys were typically the best for animal comedy videos, Sunset spotted Sonata's sketchpad. You know, she said thickly, you're a mean girl. Sonata gave a somewhat uncontrollable giggle and poked Sunset playfully with her finger. No, I'm serious, Sunset said, slamming her hand on the coffee table a little harder than she intended. She picked up the sketchpad. Why did you hide away the pictures of me? Yep. Sonata slowly but surely stopped her sneakering. A look of puzzlement itched its way across her face. This took a few moments. How do you know about those pictures? She asked, the pitch of her voice rising and lowering at apparently random intervals. Well, because I found them, Sunset said, as though explaining very simple to someone very stupid. Sonata seemed to think about this. Oh, she said succinctly, you like them? Sunset sighed a hot little sigh. Your name's hard to say. Sunny? Sonata suggested. Sonny and Sunny? She said, interrupting fresh giggles. Sonny, Sunset began again, leaning directly towards her. I have something I need to say. She slurred sternly. You like me. Sonata laughed triumphantly. Sunset paused for a long while, thinking hard. What? She said, in a feeble attempt to sound still suggestive or absurd. Why was the room changing size? Don't you like me, young missy? Sonata chuckled, poking Sunset's nose. You said before. You asked me who I like because you like me. She looked directly into Sunset's eyes. I'm not stupid, even though I'm not smart. Hey, Now you are smart. No, I'm not. Sonata shook her head from side to side like a small child. Yes, you are, Sunset slurred more instantly, and I just prove it to you. She stood up, holding Sonata with her by her wrist. She led her to the bedroom, nearly missing the door frame, and looked blearily around for something. Sonata, who seemed to be having trouble standing, sat on the bed, giggling conspicuously. Sunset mulched around for a sparse furnishing and fixing her room, before finally looking at the last place you would ever think to, her bedside table. Uh-huh, she said, sitting down next to Sonata and holding up a thick brown book. See here? She flipped through several pages of the journal and jabbed her finger in the page. It tells us that it does knowing facts and figures, so not knowing how to apply what you know as well. Princess Celestia said that, Sunset finished proudly. Sonata frowned at the page. After a few moments of silence, he said, That's what it says. Actually, no, Sunset admitted. Actually, I'm having trouble reading at the moment. But she did say that, she added, folding her arms. Sonata stared at her for a long while, expressing hard to read. Despite basically being wasted, her stare was a steady one, and Sunset found herself staring back, feeling the heat in her face return. So you like me, she said slowly, just laying that out there again. And I know I like you. I should probably tell you that. She began to say it, when Sunset cut her off with a ninja kiss. Unlike a ninja kiss, however, she missed completely. They both recoiled. Sunset's hand on her mouth. Sorry, Sunset blurred, sucking her lip a little. Sonata prodded her nose gingerly, seeing that would bleed. No, she slurred. No, I get it. It was a good try. Sunset glared at her. Okay, now it's shut. But hey, she shrugged, giving a warming smile. Practice makes perfect. The second kiss was more or less successful. Their lips met, probing each other. Never ceasing motion of the world, making it hard for Sunset to focus entirely on the job. She held Sonata's cheeks with both her hands. Sonata fluttered to Sunset's middle. A few moments before he realized what Sonata was trying to do. Holding her tongue from Sonata's teeth, he gazed blurry at Sonata, whose eyes was red, his face turned redder still. I suppose I should have asked first, she mumbled, clueless as always. Some part of Sunset, currently unheard, a sober part of her, told her that what she was doing was a very bad idea. But the free-flowing world whispered to her of how much she wanted this. And somehow she knew it would be her concern, and hesitation didn't just disappear. She reached up, pulled the black ring around her neck over her head, allowing the pink fabric to fall away. So trying to be fair, Sonata removed her shirt as well, slipping it from her slender shoulders and letting it fall to the floor. Her white bra stood out startlingly in the semi-dark of the room. Go on, contrasting sharply with Sunset's black one. As Sunset gazed, finding it difficult to look away, she was suddenly aware of the primal part of her clawing in her vitals, a predatory instinct that surged up inside her, and surged the seed of longing to burst into full bloom. Without thought of hesitating, she pushed Sonata backwards onto the bed by the shoulders, pinning her. Sonata was either too dazed to cry out or simply too surprised. She looked up at Sunset with shocked eyes, giving Sunset the agreeable feeling of being a fox upon a rabbit. She raised her hand out for what she wanted as the darkness gathered about them. Yes, yes. Indian, Indian, yeah, Indian, yeah, Morning came very abruptly to Sunset. As the first rays of the morning sunshine leaked into the bedroom through the slit in the curtain, Sunset twisted away from it. She raised her head from her pillow and received the instant stab of pain that seemed to throb across her entire head. She groaned and lay back down, but now she was aware of the throbbing she couldn't ignore. Grunting again, she rolled over to the side of the bed and tried to plant her feet on the floor. This Herculean feat practically delivered a death blow to her complaining brain. Fergal, she covered her forehead with her hand, trying to remember what had happened. It was hard, really hard. She looked at the bed through bloodshot, blurry eyes. As her fists stabilized, she saw that the sheets were a tangled mess. What had she done last night? The room had an unfamiliar smell to it as well. Maybe the unfamiliar smell came from her, or had followed her out of the room. Dragging herself out to the kitchen, she made some small coffee and sat down on the sofa, trying to clear her head. It was a few minutes before she realized something was wrong. Then another minute before she realized what it was. Sonata? She said feebly. Even the small air rust was enough to give her a pounding head a sharp shock. The sudden banging at the door made her wince as she held her hands to her ears. Come in, she said faintly. The door opened tentatively, and in stepped Applejack, looking uncomfortable. Then she saw Sunset and looked even more uncomfortable. Oh, She looked away pointedly, blushing slightly. Sunset looked down at herself, was slightly surprised to see it was nothing but her underwear. That was most unlike her. Sorry, she mumbled, rubbing a blanket hanging on the sofa's back around herself. Don't know what came over me over this morning. Oh, I know what came over you! Applejack looked between her and the 3 empty bottles on the table. I think I have some idea. Let's actually allow Kate to talk to you all about. Sunset listened patiently to the short, quiet explanation, sipping her coffee and swallowing the maximum safe amount of headache pills. I thought it was weird he didn't have any labels. Sunset groaned. What else were you doing with Granny Smith's moonshine anyway? Applejack mumbled something about loading the truck up wrong, and something about Apple Bloom not following instructions correctly. So you're basically saying Sonata and I got whammed last night? Your hangover was just lip, Applejack grinned giddily. You didn't do anything crazy, did you? Sunset considered this question. Now that Applejack mentioned it, she was having a difficult time remembering what had happened. She remembered Sonata coming back, trying the drinks, even remembered watching internet videos. A little blurry after that, though. Something about trying to prove or something or other to Sonata had led them to her bedroom to look at her magic journal. Sunset's heart missed a beat. Applejack gave her a funny look. You alright, Sugar Cream? She asked, leaning forward. You all gone awful pale. Sunset didn't answer her, but at that exact moment a groan came from the bedroom door. Sonata squinted painfully away from the sunlight. leaning on the door, wearing nothing but her underwear as well. She leaned down the doorframe and gave a wan smile at Applejack. Hey, AJ, she said delicately. Those drinks are killer. Applejack frowned at her slightly, then looked at Sunset. Sunset's face had gone bright red, the suddenly wide eyes full of secret meaning. I don't think I need to leave you two to work this out, she said hurriedly, blessing herself. Well, what were you doing in my room? Sunset asked aghast. Duh. Don't you remember last night? See you! Applejack sped up, opened the door, and zoomed out. Sonata and Sunset both winced and moaned harmonically as the door slammed. After an hour or so, once the headache tablets kicked in, coffee began to work its miracle on them both. Sunset dared to raise the question again, face still bright red. So I have to admit, I don't remember everything from last night. No, I didn't think you would. Sonata smirked over her half-drunk coffee. Why? Sunset asked, curious. During consternation, Sonata gave a little chuckle, as though it seemed to cost her. What was the last thing you remember? She asked, giving Sunset a knowing smile. Something that smile made Sunset feel like she was going to regret answering. Well, we kind of said a few things we might not have. Things that need saying. Yeah, then we, well, I kind of fell on, you let that me, pinned me down, Sonata said firmly, so still not level of a whisper. You let that me, held me down, you're so awesome. Okay, yeah, Sunset said without spurring her lip, turning her head around her hands. Yes, I held you down and, that was where her memory ended. You blacked out. Sonata finished, nodding wisely. Sunset stared at her. The color threatened to overflow her face, draining from it. I blacked. Sonata grinned at her. You were staring at me like you wanted to bite me, and honestly, I would have let you. She said nervously. I don't know what all that was, but then your eyes kind of went out of focus and you fell right on top of me. Sunset stared at her in disbelief. Oh, sorry, Legend. No Yuri for you. A mug fell out of her hand and dropped a few remaining drops of coffee on the floor. Putting her head into sinking hands, she tried to ignore the mingled look of compassion and merriment. Oh, Celestia, kill me now. Oh, come on. It wasn't that bad. Sonata said soothingly, sitting next to her in a usual cross-legged posture, patting her consolingly and told her, Yeah, the first kiss was pretty bad, but the second one was magical. She said, remembering it fondly. And the bouncing was very exciting. Not so very heavy. It was kind of romantic, you laying on top of me. I think you must have pushed me out of bed while we were sleeping or something, though. So look up on the floor. Carpet's hard to sleep on. She added, the committing information to history. Please stop talking. No, it was okay for our first time. Sonata insisted. We're never going to do a perfect run the first time, were we? Sunset allowed those words to wash over her a few long moments, where she managed to digest their meaning. She looked up at Sonata, and her red pressures on her fingers and printed on her cheeks like war paint. First time? Sonata shrugged in that adorably oblivious way she had. Like you said, practice makes perfect, she smiled. Do you think we get Granny Smith to make us more of that stuff? Woot.